devastatingly beautiful and voluptuous would catch the eye of Nathaniel Vandenberg. Beverly shrugged and threw her blonde hair over her shoulder as a tiny smile pulled the corners of her lips. That's true. I can't help it if I was blessed by the goddess with a body that is every man's desire. Her green eyes filled with sudden terror, and whatever she was going to say next vanished. I wasn't surprised if such a handsome man would want to date my Aunt Beverly. She was gorgeous, with a small but voluptuous body, perfectly proportioned and fit. Any man would be lucky to have her on his arm. So why did they kill him? I took a sip of my wine. So what happened? I get the feeling he was no Prince Charming, this Nathaniel character. Ruth made a face as she peeled the label off the wine bottle. He wasn't. I still have the pins in my voodoo doll to prove it. My lips parted. I stared at my sweet Aunt Ruth, the tiny witch with the large, innocent blue eyes and her white hair piled on the top of her head in a messy bun held by two pencils, who always saved the spiders and beetles found in the house and let them out in the backyard, wondering who this new witch was. You made a voodoo doll of this guy? Ruth looked smug. I made 13. You want to see them? Maybe later. Not really. Voodoo dolls gave me the creeps. But if I ever needed to make one, I knew who to ask. Again, the kitchen went to silent mode, the hum of the refrigerator and dishwasher cutting into the silence. Though no words were needed to see the gravity of this situation, if the tight expressions on each aunt's face were any indication. My shoulders stiffened with tension in the new silence until Beverly broke it. She lifted her head and said, It started about a month after we were dating. Her face twisted in a memory that would haunt her for the rest of her life. There were little signs, you know, at the beginning, but I ignored them. I thought I was overreacting. She gave a forced laugh. How could Nathaniel Vandenberg be anything other than a perfect gentleman? It was absurd. Fury seemed to stop my heart. I frowned, knowing what she was trying to articulate without having to say the words. He hit you? I loathed nothing more than an abusive man. It got me all worked up, and not in a good way. Worse, much worse, informed Dolores, her voice strained. When she came home with bruises around her neck one morning, I knew precisely what kind of man he was. The kind you push down the basement and forget about, growled Ruth, rolling a torn piece of the wine bottle's label between her fingers, a crazed look in her eyes. Grief and anger slammed into me at the thought of anyone hurting my Aunt Beverly, and bruises around her neck could only be one thing. He'd tried to strangle her. Fury gripped me. Son of a bitch bastard. Beverly wiped at her eyes. He did things to me. He... She swallowed hard, her face pale, and my gut twisted, that piece of cheese threatening to say hello again. She shifted on her chair and said, We all know there's not a prude bone in this exquisite body. I'm the first one to try new things in the bedroom. Hell, I invent things in the bedroom. The Kama Sutra's got nothing on me. I'm the Beverly Sutra of my generation. Again, that forced smile hidden behind a mask of horror. But tear-framed green eyes met mine, and a terrible fear lay in her gaze. But the things he did to me were unnatural. I stiffened in my seat, my imagination running wild, afraid to ask what kinds of things she meant, because I had a pretty good idea what they were. Beverly took a sip of her wine and let out a shaky breath. He promised he would stop. He booked a suite at the Harbor Inn Hotel in Cape Elizabeth for the weekend. We were going to spend a romantic weekend, just the two of us. She brushed another tear away. He could be persuasive, and I believed him. She shook her head as angry tears spilled down her pretty face. I was so stupid. Dolores reached out and